My home is my temple. You know, my home is a place of peace. It's a place for restoring of energy. It's a place where there's love, there's interaction with family. I think we often take for granted what our space really represents. The physical house itself is not really where the heart is.
In 1986 or so, I bought a condominium in Brentwood. I didn't live in it all the time. Sometime I would not live there, sometimes I would, but it got to a point where one time I was living in Europe and I was making payments at a house over there, performing, and then I had another place I was renting and I had someone in the condo, and I just let it go, and I got into a negative, what you call negative amortization, so it escalated, and I was making the minimal payments. Before you knew it, I was in over my head, and I just thought, not only was I going to lose it, but I was losing everything. I had no money, I had no place to stay, I lost jobs and I didn't get work, and I was like, it looked like I was on the verge of bankruptcy. I even did go bankruptcy at one point and still held on to the condo.
You know, back in 2003 through 2005, they had what they call the subprime market. They made loans available to the consumer on very loose basis.
Money was so rapidly available that, you didn't have to prove your income in most cases, and banks were giving out loans left and right.
Unfortunately, what took place is that in 2006, we started to see a bit of a dip in the market. They were still giving out all of these loans. There were no income, there were no doc loans, you could have bad credit and get loans.
You know, there was no stopping to it. Sometimes houses were making more money than people every month. So that bubble had to burst at some point. And unfortunately, with that, people were losing their jobs, companies going out of business. And through all of that, people weren't able to make their mortgage payments.
Yep, so when people went to go refinance their properties, they were unable to get refinanced because the values weren't there. It was like a compounded effect. So I ended up having to relocate my mom to another family member's home. I moved to a smaller place. I moved out of a big, large home, and then I moved into a smaller, like, condo loft. But even that I wasn't able to continue and maintain. And then finally I had to, ask a friend if I could park on their sofa. And as it turned out, for literally 3 years, I was living with a friend.
She made us feel like we were her only client. And she's very good about communication, and she made our sale go through quickly. I'd heard horror stories where short sales can take, 8 months, a year, forever. I think ours took 4 or 5 months tops. I mean, it was
4 or
great.
5 weeks.
Oh, you're right. The whole process of moving, but the sale itself took like 4 weeks. I mean, she was amazing. Thankfully, she represented us and found us a buyer who was able to get us out from under our home without having to go through foreclosure. And now we are living in Los Angeles with our family, and it's great.
Through Toni and her team and this whole experience, I've grown as a person. It's taught me humility, kindness, not to be so judgmental to other people, forgiveness. You're at the end of the ropes, you feel like there's no hope, and then something comes into your life, a kind presence, and things get better.
When you see the client really take a deep breath, and the wrinkles and the stress kind of goes away.
That's all the reward we need.
It's like,
we're not just completing a transaction and moving on. We're going to take somebody from a distressed, despaired situation and put them on a path that they've never been on before, and they're going to be better after they met us. Right?
To help them get out of that debt and they can move on and start from scratch, it's a big deal.
I genuinely am here to help them. It's about renewal, it's about recover, it's about healing. We're consultants, we're therapists, we're healers. Home is in your heart, Home is in your heart.
Home is where we are together.
There is life after losing a house. It can be a new beginning.
I've personally experienced exactly what these people are dealing with.
We always tell them, take your time, think about it, because there are options.
it's not all about the material stuff. You know, we think, sometimes we think if we had this and if I just had that. You know, I used to think if I just made enough money that I wouldn't have this problem or that problem. But the truth is it's not about the money. You know, there's another level of happiness that is to be achieved internally. You are not your credit. You're not alone. This is a worldwide epidemic, and it's a challenge that most people are dealing with. And if they're not dealing with it personally, they know someone who is pretty close to them that's dealing with it. So really not to beat yourself up too much. You know, this too shall pass. It's an old saying that we've heard many years. You can lose your home, but you don't have to lose your space. You know, your space is in your heart. It's your internals. So it's, you know, this is something that you can get through.
It's really great in my life. Thank you, everybody.